Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnuhu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayana. Back in the day, someone had asked Pujya Swami Chinmayananda, what is wrong with our schools? And here's an excerpt of what he wrote, what he shared. We seem to find it necessary in our schools to teach about the lives of the kings, generals, and camarillas, which should be reserved for those who take an interest in political criminology. We teach 100 names of plants they will never see, while they can't distinguish an apple tree from a cherry tree and don't know if lemons grow on a bush or a tree, adding only to the great body of useless information acquired in school and promptly left there at graduation. One of the most important subjects, how to get along with fellow men, is left to chance and worse. It isn't what you put into the student that matters so much as what you bring out of him. On a weekly basis, people ask me, why are there so many shootings in America? Why is there so much human trafficking in Russia? Why is there so much corruption in South Africa? And they ask with a lot of emotion, and the simple answer to this, and perhaps it's too simple, which is why it's hard to absorb, is all we study, all we invoke and evoke is information, but disguise this as jnana, as knowledge. Jnana, or knowledge, is that which makes one quieter, makes one more inward-looking, makes one happier. Now think, in high school, the subjects that we study, do we study jnana? In university, every one of you said you came here to escape from university. You came here to be outside of your room. And what about our workplaces? Information disguised as jnana is not jnana. We have come to this retreat, we have come to this discourse series, not for information, but for knowledge. Knowledge that will make us quieter, will make us less extrovert, will make us more independently joyous. And the way to do this effectively is to see someone in action who's already doing this, and I'm not referring to myself. There's a whole lineage of people who live this, who enact this. And this is why our retreat, our Discourse series, is going by the title of What Would the Wise Do? In this environment, we can be quieter so we can hear them. We can remember them. And ideally, when we return to the real world, that's a very annoying saying, but we still say it and feel it, isn't it? School is the real world. How is it any more real than this? How is our corporations any more real than this? But returning to the real world, we will not just hear and remember, but we will follow what the wise did, what the wise do, what the wise will do. In a very simple way, when I say www, what do you think of? What do you think of? The World Wide Web. And you don't even think about that because we don't include that anymore in our addresses. Correct? World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is convenient. I booked a flight through Southwest to come here. I bought Pearl Jam tickets for a show in Boston through the World Wide Web. We found out what sandwich we're going to eat at Ike's through the web. Convenient. But what kind of relationship do you have with the World Wide Web? What kind of transformation takes place with the World Wide Web? Convenience, and it stops there. But what would the wise do? If you can think about your relationship with your parents, that your parents have done everything for you. Last year when I had come, I wasn't a parent. Now I'm a father. I can relate to that more. It's experiential now. How much my parents have done for me. We only have one child. They had 3, including my sisters. Our grandparents, when we think about how tough school is now or society is now, imagine how it would have been 50 or 75 years ago. If we think about the way that Puja Swami Chinmaya studied in Gangotri. Recently, a group of us went on a yatra, and we went to Gangotri. We were there on December 29th, I believe, and it was intensely cold. And most of us were North Americans from the Northeast. We're used to the cold, but not that cold. What the wise have done, we can have a relationship with that. We can transform by their example. Let go of this idea of the World Wide Web being anything more than convenience. When I came to the ashram today, the ashram Wi-Fi wasn't working. Good. See how the retreat is building already. For us to focus on a deeper www. Now this retreat is actually part of a bigger vision. Last year, we studied a Niti Shastra. We studied how to lead ourselves, and that was through the teachings of Chanakya. And Chanakya taught us last year, and we've been remembering this and following this for every moment for an entire year. Chanakya taught us we should lead ourselves with sadhana, with discipline, with vision. But to lead ourselves. Whenever we think of leadership in terms of the world, in terms of school, it's always in reference to another, isn't it? If you follow me, I become a leader. correct? But fundamental leadership is not in reference to others, it's only in reference to oneself. This year, we are not going to study a Niti Shastra, Bhakti Shastra. Now that we know how to lead ourselves, we have to learn how to love ourselves. And this will be through the teachings of Sri Kabir. And this is a common name. Many of us know some of the Sakhis, some of the Chopais that Sri Kabir has written, but I don't know if we've studied this. There's a difference. As an example, please chant the 4th paragraph of the Chinmaya Mission pledge. We stand as one family, and you have to get to the 4th paragraph, correct? Chant the 8th shloka of Guru Stotram. Okay, how does Swami Prakashananda chant it? We have to get into that rhythm and then get to it, correct? So we know this unconsciously, but we haven't studied these subjects. So we will study, and in the future, whenever that will be, the next to complete this vision is to study a Mukti Shastra, not how to lead ourselves, not how to love ourselves, but how to liberate ourselves. And that is through the teachings of Sri Rumi. If you can connect to Rumi's teachings, every one of his teachings is about freedom. And how his words are not theoretical, purely experiential. This is the vision of making that which is inaccessible, accessible. This morning I began my travels at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. And up until right now, I've had a beautiful day because this day is founded on me being able to study that which is inaccessible and to share this hopefully in an accessible way. What a privilege we all have. How much gratitude we should be feeling. Focusing on Sri Kabir, whose teachings we will study. Sri Kabir, I'll use the word was, but what I'm feeling is a reformer. He was a religious reformer, a patriotic reformer, a social reformer. He reformed himself, and by reforming himself, he was able to reform others, and specifically against living meaningless lives. You can interpret that as a ritual. He was against ritualism, where people didn't know what they were doing. But I just asked all of you, why are you here? And if we don't know, isn't this a more comprehensive ritual? For all of the people who are trying to graduate from school, why? You're going to say, so you can get a job. Why? So you can make money. Why? And this will go on and on, correct? For all of the people who are married, people who have kids, why? Politely. I'm sharing all of this politely, inquisitively. He was a reformer. He took that which we made meaningless and added meaning to this. Sri Kabir was born in 1455, so almost 600 years ago. And as we explore his teachings, how these teachings are sanatana. They are eternal, they are unchanging, they are relevant. He was born in Varanasi, and sadly, when he was born, he was abandoned. And not abandoned like given to an orphanage. Abandoned as in just left there. And purely through God's grace, Niru and Nima, a husband and wife, found, his name wasn't Kabir at the time, he was just an infant, and they were weavers. That's why we call Kabir a weaver. And each day I'll explain more to you about Sri Kabir. He never had an interest in being a weaver. He was living in a different dimension. But I wanted you to make that connection, that the people who adopted him, his parents, were weavers, so he was doing the same. Now, Niru and Nima lived in a community in Varanasi where Hindus and Muslims lived together. They followed similar traditions, practices. So with this infant, they needed to give him a name, so they took him to a Muslim priest. I think the terminology is Qazi, I don't know for sure. And this priest opened a book, and opened the Quran, and the first word that he saw was Kabir. And Kabir means great Lord. And truly, I said God's grace, this name was descriptive of him. In our tradition, the fifth samskara, which is on day 11, an infant is given a name. And what kind of name? Not an acronym, not based on a celebrity. A name that becomes the lighthouse for their life. That this is what they're to live up to. They're to become. And why this samskara is most important? Because in the framework of Sanatana Dharma, every generation should be greater than the previous one. Should be. I'm not going to comment if it's happening or not, but should be. That's why these names are given, and I feel Shri Kabir is a perfect example of that. How much glory he's brought to his parents. And though he was born with a lot of grace, this grace needed to be guided. Shri Kabir's guru's name was Swami Ramananda. Swami Ramananda. And as we study more of his teachings, you'll see there is a strong influence of Hinduism, naturally his guru, and Islam, where he lived. So each day I'll share more about this. Coming to a more micro level now. What would the wise do? So that this is not just an acronym and poetry, we're going to try to understand this subject with 4 different focuses, each building on each other, each discourse. Discourse 1 will be about listening. If we want to learn to love ourselves and naturally love others, we first have to listen to ourselves. I sometimes ask people to think about their vices. But please think about your vices right now. What are you thinking about? How you don't have any vices, correct? I'm courageous, I'm handsome, I'm fast, people like me, right? This is what we're doing. But if you listen more carefully, actually I'm pretty temperamental. I have a lot of lust in my life. I'm very jealous of this person. We all think we're the most loving people, but are we the most loving people? And if I can call us out on this, who do you love the most? Yourself, fine. Who do you love the second most? Probably your spouse, your child, your parent. And now here's the call out. Who do you get angry at the most? The same person. How does that make any sense? We need to think more. We need to listen. Tomorrow morning, we will focus on learning. Learning how to love. Valentine's Day, right? One day a year you buy someone some stuff, and then you're good for 364 days. Love is an art. If you think of artists you know, whether it's dancers, painters, singers, did they just pick it up like that? The Winter Olympics are going on right now, or maybe a better example would be the Summer Olympics. Usain Bolt, I think, has won 3 gold medals over 3 Summer Olympics. His total running time is less than 5 minutes. Right? That race is only 9 seconds for him. So if he runs 30 seconds a summer in races, maybe 2 minutes, but how much training is required for that short period of time? To learn. Tomorrow evening's discourse will be focusing on loving. So listening, learning, then loving. Loving ourselves, loving others, and our final discourse will be about living. Where is that love to be applied? In all of our experiences. What was the first L? Good. And then? Learning, then? And finally? Living. How many forms of writing has Sri Kabir come up with? Thousands of sakis, which are like two-line teachings, chopais, and on and on and on. We can't study thousands through our discourses. We will take up 4 sakis on each of these subjects. And I believe this is the same amount that we studied last year too. I found in my travels and teaching, a whole lot of us have a certain vasana that stops us from practicing. What is that vasana? Business vasana, yes. Shastra vasana. We all love to study and study and study, but are we making that part of our life? And I'll tell you a simple reason why we don't make this a part of our lives. We don't remember. And if you don't remember, you can't practice. I'd called my older sister on her birthday, and my nephews picked up the phone, and I said, "Did you wish your mother a happy birthday?" And they were much younger at this time. And they said, "We didn't know it was her birthday." And they started screaming and went over there and hugged her. And I thought to myself, these young boys, they don't remember it's their mother's birthday, so they can't practice their mother's birthday, correct? I, as an adult, remember my sister's birthday, so I can call her and wish her the best. If we don't remember, we can't practice. And how to remember? Simplicity. So instead of studying volumes, whatever we study, we should study well. The first Saki we will study is a famous Saki. Many of you may know this also. Now, we were unable to give you this in print because it's an expansive selection of Sakis that we've extracted. I'll chant each pada, each quarter, slowly. You please repeat. Okay, you'll get this. Mali avata dekhi ke kaliya kare pukar phuli phuli chuni lai kala hamari bar. Good. How many of you have heard this before? I see one person going like this, Indian style. Mali means worker, in this case gardener. Avata is coming. Dekeke, seeing this. Who's seeing this? Buds, flower buds. Kaliya, that means buds. Kare pukara. These flower buds start to cry out, start to speak. Puli, puli, chuni, lai. That yesterday the flowers were plucked. They were taken. Kala hamari bar. And tomorrow will be our turn. What Kabirji is teaching here is, we tend to think that old people die. Yes? Do only old people die? Young people also die. All people die. And by knowing this truth, we start to live better. In the Mahabharata, when the Yaksha asks Yudhishthira, what is the greatest Acharya? What is the greatest wonder in how people live? And how does he respond? The greatest wonder is all around us we see death, but no one thinks that this will happen to them. True? Do you wake up thinking today will be your last day? But factually, nobody here knows that today is not going to be their last day, isn't it? So I'll elaborate on this some more. Animals, let's go lower. Stones, metal, minerals. Plants. Plants that live in the cold, plants that live in the warm. Animals, whether it's fish or land animals or birds. And we'll skip humans and go to the gods, the devatas. All of these types of beings are called bhoga yonis. Bhoga yoni means they only exhaust or they only evolve. That's it. Stones become plants, plants become animals, animals become humans. The gods also, when they evolve, what do they become? Humans. The gods don't evolve to become higher, they become humans. Humans, you, me, we're called yoga yonis. Yoga means we can evolve or devolve. And when a human evolves, not into a god, a human evolves into infinity. A yoga yoni. Now think, stones, plants, and animals are all looking up to us. The gods are also jealous of us. How opportunistic, how precious it is to be a human, because only a human can evolve to be independently joyous. We're focusing on listening right now. Are you listening to how lucky you are? Are you aware of the grace that we have in our lives? Acharya Shankara shares in Vivek, it's taken a long time to be born as a human. And there's a complex teaching related to this, but a human that's related to the Guru Shishya Parampara, which we all are, even longer. And for us to not love this experience means we're not listening then, right? Acharya Shankara even shares in Vivek, one who doesn't use this embodiment, they're engaged in atmaha. Atmaha means suicide. And not suicide of the body. The body will come again and again and again. But the chance to listen to the wise, to remember the wise, to follow the wise, that may not happen again. For each of the sakhis that we study, I will try to give you a WWW, what would the wise do, in a way that we can start right now. If you remember last year, I gave you a sadhana for each shloka that we studied. Here is what we can try to do to start to listen to the wise. How many birthdays a year do you have? How many birthdays a year? I heard 20, lucky. How many birthdays do we have? We have 3. The most important, and the one that comes first, actually just passed, and that is Mahashivratri. That is the birth of God, and don't take that literally. God is not born. the manifestation of God. Next is the birth of the ambassador of God, or the Guru, which we call Guru Purnima, when Vedavyasa's birthday takes place. And the third is the day this body is born. Now, how should you celebrate these birthdays, particularly the day that this body is born? What should you do on your birthday? I know what you do. I'm asking you what you should do. What should you do? Okay. I think how we celebrate our birthdays is we feel like we've done so much being born. And so people should give us gifts and we should blow out candles. In other words, create more darkness. Correct? That's what we do on our birthdays. Now, I was there when my son was born. He didn't do anything. So he's not going to have a birthday till he knows he's having a birthday. Because he didn't do anything. If anything, we did all of the work. We should be getting gifts for his birthday. On our birthdays, we shouldn't collect gifts, but distribute gifts. We shouldn't create darkness, but we should create light. And that may be more at a ritual sense, but on our birthday, we should think about where we've come from. And when we know where we've come from, we'll have a better idea of where we're going. That is how this Sakhi that's talking about death may come in the next hour or the next day, the next year. Make sure you know where you've come from. And particularly, are you happy? Are you virtuous? Are you living in a loving way? And if that year has not been like that, then make sure the upcoming year is like that. But if we're so busy collecting and creating darkness, then every year is the same, isn't it? All that changes is we look less healthy. But nothing changes. And the scary part of this is we believe in reincarnation. We will die and just get back into the same cycle. So what would the wise do? They would celebrate their birthdays well. When Pujya Swami Chinmayananda's birthday is celebrated, we call that Seva Day, no? And the day that his body died, we call that Sadhana Day. He doesn't care for the Seva or Sadhana. It is our celebration of the ambassador of God, no? On Mahashivratri, do you think Bhagavan Shiva drinks milk? For 1 year, he has to, like a bear, he has to take all that milk in. Bhagavan Shiva doesn't need that milk. It's our opportunity to celebrate the birth of God. Okay. The next Sakhi is a harsh Sakhi, and that's what I really like about Sri Kabir's teachings. He doesn't write for people to like him. That's a game we all play, right? We want everyone to like us, which really means we don't like ourselves. He's not that type of teacher. He's the most truthful. Kabir suta kya kare, uti kinaro ve dukkha, jaka basa gorame, so kyu so ve sukha. Kabira. Who's talking here? Kabir. Who's he talking to? Kabir. Listening, no? He's asking himself, are you listening to yourself? Kabir is talking to himself. Suta means sota. Sota means sleeping. Kya kare? Why are you sleeping? Kabir's up here and he's saying, why are you sleeping? Utikina, wake up! Rove dukkha, wake up and cry. Rove means like rona. What should you be crying about? Dukkha. You should be crying about the sadness in your life. I'll explain more. Pretty depressing so far, right? Why are you sleeping? That's the only joy I have in my life. And I should cry about my sadness. Jaka basa gorame, especially when one's final resting place is the grave. So saha, the one, kyon so ve sukha, then how can you sleep peacefully? If you know that your final resting place is death, in other words, you know that nothing is going to change, then how is it that you're sleeping peacefully? How are you all right with this? Opening this up some more. On Mahashivratri, what mantras do you chant? Chant a mantra related to Bhagavan Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, yes, continue. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshi Yamamritaat. Now there's sheets of paper that are going around. You have to write down what that means. How many of you can write down what that mantra means? Yeah, for sure there's a few of you. Let's just focus on the second line and how it relates to this. Uru means big. Aruka means cucumber. Here we're chanting this mantra towards Bhagavan Shiva, big cucumber. Bandhanat means this big cucumber needs to be freed. And how? Mrityuhu moksha ma amritat. The little I know about gardening, and it is a little, that regardless of how ripe a cucumber is, it will always be attached to that vine. And so farmers required to come in, take that cucumber off. And without that farmer, that cucumber cannot come off. Cannot come off. And how this relates to us is being a good person is not good enough. Without bringing in Bhagavan into our life, we will be good, but we will never be great. And specifically, mrityuhu, moksha, that I need to be freed from death. Death here should be interpreted at 3 levels. What is the lightest form of death? Lightest form of death. Change or sleep. Sleep is a light form of death, correct? When you're asleep, the world is really dead to you. Sleep. Greater death is when this body dies. And the greatest death is ignorance. I need moksha from that maha mrityu, from ignorance. The sleepiness that Sri Kabir is talking about is not just us sleeping too much, which we do. So let's highlight that for some time. Why do we sleep more than we need to? Why do we all sleep more than we need to?
Because we may not have anything else to do in the morning.
Okay. Correct. We don't have a better reason to wake up. If you have a better reason to wake up, why would you be sleeping? Isn't it? Think tomorrow morning, if we all got to go on a cruise to Hawaii. I was thinking quickly, okay, where are we right now? How can I create this example? And you had to be at the harbor. You had to be at the harbor at 6 a.m. Will any of you be late? You'll go straight there from here, correct? But if I share, I'm teaching so slowly, we have to have a 5th discourse tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. You'll leave this discourse, right? We sleep more than we need to because we do not have a better reason to wake up. Being free from mrityu is being free from sadness. Being free from fear. Being free from confusion. Ma amritat. I want not sadness, but I want contentment. Not fear, but courage. Not confusion, but confidence. But that's not possible if we're always sleeping and not listening to what we're actually experiencing. A quote that Pujya Swami Tejamananda shares often: a happy slave is the worst enemy to freedom. A happy slave is the worst enemy to freedom. They don't know that they are a slave. If I don't know that I'm sad, if I don't know that I'm scared, if I don't know that I'm confused, do I work to come out of that? The more that I know sorrow, the more that I will know joy. And here, I hope you're not misinterpreting this to me saying that we're all sad right now. I'm only saying this in reference to what our potential is. Your siblings, if you have a younger sibling, and your younger sibling, can be smarter, faster, stronger, better. They can be nicer to your parents. Isn't it frustrating that they're not releasing that potential? Parents, you feel that with your kids all the time, isn't it? Your greatest frustration is you know that they can be more, but they don't know they can be more. That's why Sri Kabir says, lament your sorrow. Cry over the dukkha. That means do something about it. What would the wise do? Here's how we can work with this sakhi. All of you close your eyes. My eyes are open, so I know if your eyes are closed. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. All you have to do is put your hand up. I'll tell you when to put them up and down, okay? Everyone's eyes are closed. This is going to be private. From the last time that we met, which was a year ago, let's say, how many of you feel more confident? You can raise your hands if you feel more confident. Hands down. How many of you feel more confused about who you are, about life? Hands down. How many of you feel more courageous? Hands down. How many of you feel more afraid? Hands down. How many of you feel more content? Hands down. How many of you feel more sad? Hands down. You can all open your eyes. There is hands up for both, for content and sad. Every day, our hand should go up more, for I'm more confident, courageous. I am more content. And the more your hand goes up every day, it'll be harder for that hand to come down than to go up, isn't it? if we have a habit of being scared, then and you don't address it, you become more and more scared, not less and less scared. Kabir brings this up more in the next Sakhi. Simple Sakhi. Maya Maya sab kahe, Maya lakhe na koi, Jo man se na utare, Maya kahiye soy. Maya, Maya, sab kahe. Please translate that in English. Everyone keeps saying Maya, Maya. Now connect this back to the previous Sakhi. Why am I confused? Because of Maya. Why am I afraid? Because of Maya. Why am I sad? Because of Maya. Maya lakhe na koi, but nobody understands Maya. Isn't Maya just an excuse? If I don't understand what Maya is and I use Maya, then that's just an excuse, isn't it? What is Maya? This is most definitive. Jo manase na utare. Where the mind cannot be freed, that's Maya. Give me the English word of when the mind cannot be freed. Attachment. Maya is attachment. Maya kahiye soy. This is what is called Maya. Let us try to understand Maya more. What does Maya mean? Even though Sri Kabir told us that we don't know what Maya means. But we've been studying Advaita Vedanta, correct? Maya is, here we are in San Jose, but it's like we're in India. Maya is made up of two letters essentially. Ma means not. Ya means yaha is. So Maya means not is, or that which is not. So when I say that I'm afraid because of Maya, Maya is not there, isn't it? So really, why are you afraid? You're afraid because of you. Don't say it's because of Maya. Maya is not. Another way to look at this is Maya makes the impossible possible. The impossible possible. When you study Advaita Vedanta and you ask yourself, who are you? What is the answer to who are you? Who are you? Brahman, correct? What are the three descriptive words of Brahman? Sat, Chit, Ananda. So Sat means that which cannot die. So here nobody has a fear of death, correct? Chit means that which is ever known, which means nobody here has a fear of the unknown, correct? No fear of the unknown. We shut off the lights right now. You're not going to be afraid, right? And the worst out of all of this, our nature is Ananda. And what is one of our most significant fears? People say it's public speaking, but they're wrong. They've not thought about it enough. Why do you fear public speaking? Why do we fear public speaking? Because we're scared of embarrassment. You're still looking at it at a sociological level. You have to go deeper. Okay, I'll give you a reference. What inventor was known for failure? Edison, correct? Why was Edison such a great inventor? Because he never associated failure with sorrow. He never associated failure with sorrow. I'm afraid of public speaking because I will be embarrassed, or I'll be judged, or I'll be a failure, and that makes me sad. That's why I'm afraid. But if you can disassociate sorrow from failure, from being judged, from being embarrassed, then you become the best public speaker, actually. Should I tell you a secret about public speaking? In many of our retreats, we have extempore speaking. So that's where you're randomly called, you're given a random subject, and so people start to speak, and people are nervous. Now, suppose I call one of you, and you have to speak about rugs. What are you all doing while she's speaking about rugs? You're worried you're going to be called next, correct? Or you're thinking, why did she say that? I could have said that. So this person actually shouldn't be afraid at all because nobody's listening to her. Isn't it? That's why I'm good at public speaking, because nobody listens to me. And I know it. See how Maya has made the impossible possible. My nature is existence, awareness, joy, yet my fears in life are of death and the unknown and sorrow. When Maya is not. Those fears are false. Those two negatives make them go away. Okay. We'll focus on the attachment part. But we'll make this more, we'll bring this to the surface and go deeper. What is a vice we all have? And as you acknowledge this, it's going to grow in you. What vice do we all have? Yes, but come to the surface more. Vanity. Come on. Anger. Isn't it? Honestly, is there anyone here who doesn't have an anger problem? See, we were saying of course I have an anger problem. Like with pride. Anger is an effect, actually. That's why I keep saying it's at the surface. It's much deeper than that. Anger is an effect. What is the cause for anger? And please, please, please listen carefully. All of our homes can be more loving if people understand this cause-effect relationship. Anger is an effect. What is the cause for anger? Loudly. Fear. When I'm afraid of someone, I'm angry that they're making me afraid, isn't it? It's not, oh, thank you. Fear. Fear is an effect. The cause for fear, here's attachment, okay? But this is just in the middle. Attachment is an effect. What is the cause for attachment? Okay, misapprehension I'll work with, or desire. Projection. Whatever I project will bring me happiness. I get attached to that, isn't it? You don't get attached to something that you don't project will bring you happiness. You're attached to your kids, not the neighbor's kids, isn't it? People like Vyasa because they're not his parents. We have to wake up multiple times a night too, feed him and clean him and so on. From projection, and a more societal word is expectation. Those are the same. I expect you to bring me happiness. I project you'll bring me happiness. But that's also an effect. Misapprehension is an effect. What is the cause for that? Ignorance or avidya. Vidya means that which helps me remember. Avidya is that which helps me forget. Maya makes us forgetful. And we are experts in forgetting, isn't it? Car keys, cell phones, birth dates, exams, meetings. You just met someone. What was your name again? Because I've forgotten that I am happy. This is called avidya, or incompleteness. That causes vikshepa, or projections, which causes raga, or attachment, which causes bhaya, or fear, which causes krodha, or anger. I was thinking about forgetting that we are happy a lot on the plane today. I feel, for me, and I think you can relate to this too, we've forgotten how to allow ourselves to be happy. When we're in the moment, we don't allow ourselves to be in the moment, so we pull in the past, isn't it? This happened yesterday. And I think in our fast living, what we do is, we're in the moment, we keep bringing in, I should do more for the future. I should do this now, I should do this now, I should think about this. And then we get into this practice of just not allowing ourselves to be happy. Like even now, why can't we just be happy? What's stopping us from being happy? Avidya, Maya, but it's not there. Here is where we have to bring in, what would the wise do about this Saki? How would the wise learn from this Saki? Maya makes the impossible possible, yes? If you can think of like a sorcerer or Harry Potter. If this is the weapon that makes the impossible possible, what weapon can you use to invalidate or nullify this weapon? You need another weapon that can make the impossible possible, correct? If this weapon's making the impossible possible, you need a weapon that will make this impossible possible. And that is called kripa, or grace. There are 4 kripas that we have to invoke in our lives, and I will naturally focus on the most immediate, but let's start up here. What is the highest form of grace that can come into our lives? Ishvara Kripa, the grace of God. The grace of God is only invoked, this only begins to flow when there is Shastra Kripa, the grace of the scriptures, the word of God. The Shastra Kripa is only flowing or invoked by Guru Kripa, the one who knows the word of God. But here's the most important part. How is Guru Kripa invoked? Or how does it start to flow? Atma, or Swakripa, when you grace yourself. Now this is a very abstract, conceptual idea of grace. How do you know if you have grace in your life? How do you know you're gracing yourself? Because you have a good healthcare system? I wasn't even being sarcastic, but I can use that sarcastically. Because you're sitting on this carpet. How do you know you have grace? See, if we don't know, we can't make that grace flow. This is, again, where I'm sharing is the quality of the understanding. Grace is when we have thoughts to change. When that thought comes in that I want to change. I want to be more patient. I want to be more loving. I want to be healthier. That's grace. And where did it come from? When you start to listen to yourself, isn't it? When we stop making excuses. When we want to change, who's right there? Guru. What does the Guru bring? Scripture. What does the Scripture lead us to? God. That's what a wise person would do when they think, oh, Maya is the reason for this and this and this. What would the wise do? They will change. We'll study one more Saki. This one you know for sure. Do you know this for sure? Are you exercising or are you acknowledging? Kala kare so aja kara. Sabahi saja tava hat. Kala kala tu kya kare. Kala kala ke haath. Kala, time or tomorrow. Kare, what you are going to do tomorrow, so aja kare. You should do that today. Yes, you've heard of this saki before, but you actually don't know this saki. You know a similar saki. Sabahi saja tava hat. Sabahi saja, all is well, tava hat, in your hands now. The work that should be done tomorrow can be done today because all is well right now. You're healthy. You're prepared. Why not do it now? Tava hat. It's in your hand. That whole saying, a bird in hand is better than two in the bush, right? Kala kala tu kya kare? Kya kare? Why do you keep focusing on kala kala? Tomorrow I will do this. Kala kala ke haath. Tomorrow is in the hand of kala. Now this kala means time or death. If you go back to what we've studied, nobody here knows that they'll wake up tomorrow. And don't think it's because you come to this discourse. Whether you're here or not, nobody knows if they're going to wake up tomorrow. So, in the next saki we studied, wake up and listen to the type of person you are. Are you virtuous? Are you vicious? You know, the opposite of virtuous is vicious. We take it to be much more extreme, but being an angry person is being a vicious person, isn't it? We describe animals as vicious, but if we have vices, then we are vicious also. Pay attention to those vices. And then we just study change. Bring in that kripa to make that maya disappear. And this has to be done. When does this have to be done? For all of you who are involved in project management, when someone says that this project needs to be done, when did they say they want it done? Yesterday, isn't it? Kala, see, they copied. Chi Kabir. There's a saying, there's an old Chinese proverb. When is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Then you'd be enjoying the shade and the fruits. When is the next best time? Now. Okay, let's take this to a high level first. Without looking back, what is directly across from me? What is directly across from me? Correct, Bhagwan Shiva. What's around Bhagwan Shiva? Around Bhagwan Shiva. It's called a Prabhavali. Avali means rows, like Deepavali. Rows and rows of Deepas, rows and rows of glories. In English, you can call it an aura. Now, without looking back still, you know every part of this ashram, correct? Every time you pay attention to every detail of this ashram, correct? In the top of this Prabhavali, what do you see there? The top of the Prabhavali. Half moon? Nope. The Prabhavali, not Bhagwan Shiva. There's a scary face there. Some people think it's a tiger, there's fangs and so on. That is Kala. That is the icon or image of time. And the message being there, all that's outside of that Prabhavali is subject to time. And all inside that Prabhavali, not subject to time. So where are we sitting? So run! Go sit beside Bhagwan Shiva. How amazing our culture and religion is that every aspect has so much depth about how to teach us in our own lives of self-development. This Prabhavalis, that images, kalas, to teach us, don't waste time. Someone who wastes time, they're someone who tends to be an expert in taking for granted, isn't it? They take for granted that they'll be alive tomorrow. And fine, I keep using death a lot because Shri Kabir references death a lot. Tell me, what do we take for granted? Forget about, thinking about tomorrow and we'll be alive and all that. What do we take for granted? Basic necessities, good. I'm looking for more specificity. Family, for sure. Respect from others, respect to others. I'm thinking more big picture. The environment, no? Who owns this environment? Our generation. We can do whatever we want. What's going to happen in 50 years to Manhattan? To Mumbai? San Jose also? What will happen? The most valuable part of North America is going to be the Midwest. Right now, which you think is the least valuable is going to become the most valuable. There's no forest fires because it's so cold. There's no earthquakes because it's all rock. There's no hurricanes because it's insulated. And there's lots of water. But slowly, more and more people are going to come over there. And there'll be a lack of food and a lack of water and a lack of space. We take the environment for granted, no? So I went here, but now we'll come to the closest sense. You know what we take for granted the most? Our nature. God. The word Atman means that which is closest, but who do we think we are? This body. Do you remember how I looked last year? Better or worse? I'll close my eyes. Last year, I think I had a mustache. I think my hair was much shorter. Now I don't have a mustache. My hair is much longer. I think this is who I am. Next time you see me, who knows if I'll have hair. But that's us taking for granted the environment, the self, our family. And the most intense part of this is we justify it, isn't it? Acharya Gaurang says that we all have PhDs in justification. We will find a way to justify our position, like Prince Arjuna, isn't it? He's telling Bhagwan Krishna, who studied at Sandeepany, I think he studied everything in like 60 days. Then Prince Arjuna is saying, we shouldn't do this for this reason, and this reason, and this reason, and this reason. Expert in justification, no? I'd shared this example with you last year also. My cousin and wife and friend, we'd all gone out for dinner. And we're all vegetarians other than my friend. And my cousin asked the waitress if there's meat in a certain soup. And she said, it's based on a beef broth. He said, you can bring that for me. And my wife says, aren't you a vegetarian? What did he say? But you can't see the meat. With such clarity, but you can't see the meat. That's like me playing hide and go seek. You can't see me, so I'm not out. Whatever growth that we are here for, and particularly in love, invoking love, evoking love, the only time is now. What would the wise do? Here's what we can work with right now, and then work our way up into higher aspects of using this Sakhi. Try to remember this quote. A man who dares to waste. Now some of you may be writing this, so I'll say it like an Indian poet, where they repeat everything twice. A man who dares to waste. And you all say? Wow. A man who dares to waste, as if I'm coming up with new content. So a man who dares to waste, we continue. 1 hour of time. 1 hour of time has not discovered. No, you have to say va. I'm supposed to say this twice. It's bad for my motivation if you don't. The value of life. The value of life. Okay, poetry's over now, okay? So let me just read the quote simply. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Do you know who wrote this quote? Charles Darwin. Someone who apparently knows a lot about life. He's sharing this quote. What would the wise do? A wise person does not waste at all. I could use the word they don't waste time, but my point is they don't waste at all. They don't waste food. They don't waste words like Bhagwan Rama, Ekavachani. And they definitely don't waste a moment or an opportunity. I have a good kid's story relating to this Sakhi, but I'll share that with you tomorrow. I'll wrap up, and then if you have any questions, you can ask. Shri Kabir is trying to train us in love, and he's beginning this by asking us to look at ourselves. Whenever we look at a mirror, we tend to look from far away so that we look really good. But the closer you come to that mirror, there's a scar there, or I miss shaving over here, or my hair is disheveled here. I was joking with someone earlier. When you go to a hotel, they also have a makeup mirror too, correct? And what do we do right away? Put a towel on that. So by accident, I don't see the closeness of my skin or hair or whatever also. He's asking us to listen. There are 3 types of people when it comes to waking up. One type of person is genuinely sleeping, and so they can genuinely wake up. Another type of person is pretending to sleep, and so does not need to be waken up. Genuinely sleeping is like a disciple. Pretending to sleep is like a master. A master acts like we do, but is not like us. And here's the one that we have to be careful about. The third type thinks they're awake. And so you can't wake them up then. They think they're awake, so you can't wake them up then. And a classic example of that is Ravana, isn't it? He thought that he was right. His father said no. His wife said no. Bhagwan Rama said no. Sugriva said no. Hanumanji said no. Vibhishana said no. Everyone said no, but he said yes. This is the point of the Sakhis that we've studied today, is to figure out if we think we're awake, or if we are acknowledging that we're sleeping. Slow down. Step back. See more. We are in an age. I began our discourses talking about the age of information being disguised as jnana. We are in an age that's called Kali. Kali means noisy. Kali means fast. All we do is fast. I think back in the day, like my grandmother, my nani, this idea of fast food, what is fast food? No idea. Then with my mother's generation, fast food must have come around. McDonald's, Taco Bell. In my generation, within fast food, there's faster food. Correct? Like you go to a fast food restaurant and then you buy food on the go. If you think about the internet, I was around when we used to have to pull that phone cable from the phone into that huge hardware, like the computer is as big as this whole stage over here. And then you're on the computer, but there's nothing to do. It's not like they had websites. Now, if Google doesn't show up, your search in 0.03 milliseconds, Google. Fast. Slow down. Slow down your eating, slow down your walking, slow down your thinking. And when we slow down, we can step back and ensure whether there's meaning or there is no meaning in what we're doing. And maybe there isn't meaning, maybe, then at least we can see more. Narayana.